And we're live!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a thrilling episode of Those Aren't Biscuits, your weekly pop culture talk show interactive thingamajigger. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Cadotte, and with me, as always, Owen Adams. Say hi, Owen.
Hi. Now all I can think of is, Katrina, get the thingamajigger! Go cut me a switch!
Those of you who are new to our show, this is a weekly live streaming talk show where we talk about pop culture items from books to comic books to video games, movies, music, television shows, and everything else we can think of. And the whole time, you can chat in the chat room, and we will take questions, we'll take comments, we'll read your messages and whatnot, and we'll interact with you directly the whole time. So, do that, all right? We're just getting a little set up here. Today we are playing Brawlhalla, which
I know nothing about.
One of the last... What's that?
Which I know nothing about.
Me neither. But it happens to be one of the last free games that we haven't played, so
Yeah.
we're going for it.
I'm gonna be Mordex. I've decided.
Okay. I am going to be... I'll be Cassidy. Graham.
Hello to Ninth Dimension Gaming. Hello to Fuzzy Weasel. Hello to Sinister Minister. How you doing, guys?
Hey, guys. Welcome. Welcome aboard. Make sure you hit those like buttons. And if you haven't subscribed already, do so. As we play...
Classic Mordex.
I'm going to be... Yeah, I'll be classic. Right. Whoa. Yeah. Yeah!
No, it's like, this is just like Westworld.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Have I told you about the bicameral man?
Today we really, one day we really need to finish making that R2-D2 Westworld, remake.
I'm just gonna vote random.
Yeah, me too.
Alright. So, please excuse as we kind of do this first match. We figure out what we're doing, and then we'll get right into the topics. Brawl! Oh, hey, I got this thing.
Okay.
Whoa.
This is Super Smash Brothers.
Fair enough.
Or, you know, for the non-Nintendo fans, Kung Fu Panda Showdown of Legendary Legends.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, hey, what's this?
Damn it! The problem is, I have to do this on my... Every time we do these streams, whenever we play a game where characters get teeny tiny, it's a real pain in the ass because I have to put the comments on the side, so my screen's always minute. It's incredibly annoying.
Excuses, excuses. Nope. Ah. I have a Warhammer, and I'm not afraid to use it. All... Boom! Get the hell out of here. 4...
Do you even know what you're doing?
Nope.
The animation's acceptable.
Oh, God! I can make it!
Hey! More decks! More decks! More decks!
Oh, shit.
Eat my scythe!
Nope. Nope. It's a classic battle. What would win? A scythe or a hammer?
And
Scholars
somewhere...
have been asking this question for generations.
Somewhere Trotsky's like, no! You were supposed to bring peace!
You were the chosen one, Stalin!
Bam! Die!
Yes, this is the people's Brawlhalla. But
Ninth Dimension Gaming says, oh no, is this month's PlayStation Plus games come, or is it the January ones? PS Plus games don't update till Tuesday. First Tuesday of the month. And also, why are you asking me? I mean, I know the answer, but... Is this what the show has come to? PlayStation Plus tech support?
Pretty much. Oh, I got guns.
I don't get this though. Didn't your character already come with guns?
No, it's like, I think it's like special.
Oh, I see. When you collect a thing, it becomes your character's thing.
Right.
This is really annoying.
Bam! Dance, partner, dance!
I can't do anything. Oh, cool. I want the horn! Give me the horn! Oh, that's why I get the little gloves. So how are you, John? What's going on?
I'm doing alright.
You had a good week?
Yeah, actually I have. It was,
What?
Oh!
Haha!
Oh,
hey!
God! Well... I'll be a huckleberry. Oh, got the hammer again.
You're like Thor, but apparently with the need to remove some nails from really far away.
Right. Oh, wait, we got a time limit? Oh, I was just about to tie it. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, say GG. There we go. Hey, he said GG. Awesome. I'm so glad I got that option.
GG.
Or I'm gonna be Ragnia.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's been a pretty good week since we last did this show. The play that I've been directing has been performed, and yeah, it went well. We had opening night, we had a Saturday night, and we had a Sunday matinee. We had pretty good attendance the whole time. The actors did really well. We had a little party afterwards. Yeah, it went really well.
How were the reviews?
I have to say, it was definitely one of the more rewarding experiences of my life. I wish I could really talk more about it, but it's kind of hard to relay that feeling on a stream. But I will say, if there is something very special about oh, come on!
Haha! Rick O'Shea, everybody!
Son of a bitch! That's some cheap shit right there.
Whoa,
Whoa!
What? Dots, anyone?
No!
Sarah.
No! Damn it!
Yeah! Ragnia kicks ass! Ragnia!
I have a horn. Whoa! Whoa!
Hey, well done, Horn!
Ah!
So glad you got that horn, buddy. Really turned the tables. Really evened this fight. Okay, pissing me off now. Oh,
Yeah.
These are exactly the same as the last Jewel guns. Are all these characters just the same?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking so. No!
Go, Ragnia, go!
But yeah, I guess there's a really, really wonderful feeling seeing something that you've worked on for 2 months. Something like very creative. And then seeing that being performed by people.
If you're just joining us, John's talking about the most satisfying dump he ever took.
Yeah, I mean, it's the audience reaction was amazing. They rave reviews all around.
This number 2 is number 1. Come on.
Oh God! No! Fuck!
Yay!
This sucks.
How you finding Brawlhalla? It's dynamic action, isn't it?
It's...
Oh!
Fuck you! Yeah, shut down.
Get your stupid spike out of here.
Yeah. Man. Pretty annoying to have something like this happen, huh?
Oh, is that all that does?
Yep. Oh, this is gonna be one hell of a stream. I can't focus on anything right now. Just,
Hey!
got my Marvin the Martian rocket ship spike thing, and I'm ready to go.
Well, at least we don't have to shout soup all the time.
Stabby! Stab, 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 stab. Oh, get back. Shit! No, no. God damn it.
Hey!
Fuck!
When you defend yourself.
Oh, there's other attacks. Cool.
Yeah.
I was... 5, 4. Alright.
It's nice to find a game I'm consistently better than you at, however briefly.
Right
GG!
now.
GG!
You're getting no GG from me this time.
Oh!
Son of a bitch.
Your heroes level up individually?
I guess.
That's gonna be fun. Alright, I'm going back to Mordex then. Let's level someone up.
But, so yeah, that was kind of my last week. I did that, and I decided that the week following, I would just kind of take it really easy. So I haven't been doing much since then. You know, I've just been really relaxing at home, cleaning the house. Because, I mean, up until this week, like, I've been spending, like, 2 hours at home max that I wasn't asleep for, and you don't get to do shit when that's the case, you know?
That's true. You're always between something or on your way to something.
Right.
Yeah! Who needs contact?
Oh, this is a bow and arrow. Okay. Oh, God!
See you later, buddy. Talk show, everybody. If you guys have just joined us, this is a weekly show we do where we play a different game and we talk about stuff. It's a weekly talk show, and sometimes we get more sidetracked by the games than others. We're trying out Brawlhalla.
It happens.
Playing this for the first time.
But, so yeah, I guess I can... I guess, how's your weekend been, before I go any further?
Well, I mean, I could talk about everything I've done since the last show, but I've got a long story. As you know, I have a nice kerfuffle to talk about, but I don't want to... It's a bit of a big story, Meister. Well, kind of. Lengthy, so... I'll wait. You talk about... I don't know. Do you want me to do that now, or should we move on? I don't know.
Yeah, why don't you get into that? Because I got really nothing to say. There's not much else I can really...
Hello to Ignisar, who says, "What is the room?"
Hey.
We're not doing an open game, I'm afraid. Sorry about that.
Nope, sorry about that, buddy.
Alright, I will talk about what I've done since the last show, because it's been like 2 weeks since our last show, right? Or is it... No. Has it? It's been 2 weeks since our last show?
Yeah, it has, because I had the play.
I think it was, yeah. So, people may have noticed, about 2 weeks ago, I started talking about the fact that I was going to the dentist. I'm gonna be a terrible British stereotype today and talk about problems with my teeth briefly. This might sound very boring, but I promise I'm not just gonna give you like a dry dental lecture. Like, what is actually wrong with my teeth is not relevant to this story. But I was going to the dentist, so it is a while since I've last been. Mainly because dental care, like most places in the world, even though our medical care is free, dentistry is not. And the truth is, for a while I just couldn't afford to go. You know, it happens. You know.
Oh. Right.
And
what the...
I had one of those issues where, like, I knew that I had something I wanted to get checked out, but it wasn't like painful, you know? So it was one of those things of like, well, I can't afford to go this month, and this month becomes like 6 months, and then that becomes like 5 years. You know what I mean? It just becomes one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, I'll just live with this problem. But I knew I had this issue, and the issue was that when my wisdom teeth came in on the bottom, they pushed all my bottom teeth closer together, so they were all tight, right? Which meant that it became a pain in the ass to floss. And between two teeth, I got a bad spot, and I could see it. And I kept meaning to go and get it checked out, and it was just a case of just never getting the time, basically. So that was like... And never get... The time and the money never coinciding. So it was this thing I knew I needed to sort out for ages, and other than that, like, everything seemed to be basically fine, you know? Like, I knew when I finally went, they'd find, like, something else. You know, they were like, oh, well, again, you got this at the back here, this, you know, but basically that was it, so... And then eventually I found out about a dentist nearby that was taking NHS patients, which is the cheapest way to go, and I registered, and that was fine. But before that, I decided, because I basically around Christmas, I was eating the kind of things you eat at Christmas. Very chewy toffees and chocolates and things like that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I pulled a filling loose. So I was like, okay, I've got this thing I've been meaning to check out for ages, and I've got this loose filling. I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet. Like, I'm not a huge fan of going. I'm gonna have to go, do it, sort it out. I'll get all the stuff that I need sorted, done, and that's it, done. I'll get it out of the way.
What the fuck?
Your health had already declined a lot, so the lower your health gets, the more you likely are to be knocked out.
Well, I thought it was like a tiebreaker, so we started out just fresh.
I have no idea. I'm mostly telling my story. It's a talk show, Jonathan.
Right.
So I know I've got this filling pulled loose, and I'm like, alright, I've got to get this checked out. And I do something I've really never wanted to do, which is I pay for a private dentist. Which is pretty expensive. But I'm like, I've just got to get it checked out. Got to see if it's... Because I didn't know, like, if the whole filling was going to come out, or like my teeth were just going to, like, suddenly... You know what I mean? You lose a filling, you don't know how serious it is, or it's going to become really painful or anything. The filling was still there, but it had pulled loose. So I was like, right, I'll go get it checked out, I'll get the other stuff checked out, it'll be sorted. And I go, and I pay for the private dentist, and I get the consultation, and she says, so, it's been a while since your last appointment. I was like, yeah, I'm really, like, concerned it'll be terrible and stuff, whatever. And she goes, she's like, that's not too bad, you know, for someone who hasn't been in a while, your age, nothing too uncommon, right? You know, makes sense. But she says there are, like, 4 things that you need to see to, basically. You know, there's this filling that's loose, and that needs reattaching, because it's loose. And then there's the spot, the bad spot that you already know about, and that's between 2 teeth, so that's 2 teeth that need a new filling. And she said, and then there's one on the top which needs a new filling, but that's a wisdom tooth right at the back, and it's kind of hidden away there. So there we go, that needs doing. And then she says, but there's another issue, because on the x-rays we could see that this one that you've left a while before seeing us, it looks like it's quite deep. So when we get in there, you might actually need a root canal, right? But we won't know till we drill the tooth. And I'm like, okay, well, fair enough. That's, you know, it's my fault for not coming sooner. I can take that. So she writes me down a treatment plan. She goes, so, basically, with all this, and this, that's going to be £600. And if you need the root canal, £1,200. I was like, pardon? She was like, well, you know, just, you know, £600. Or, you know, £1,200. And I was like, okay, that's a lot of money. So I...
Sure is.
So I went home, and I was like, okay, well, so that's private, and I looked for NHS dentists, but I couldn't really find them. So I was like, okay, I need to see how much this would cost on the NHS. And admittedly, it's not a fair comparison, because the NHS stuff's subsidized, right? They subsidize the costs, but you still have to pay a little bit. And I look up exactly what the treatment would be if I got it on the NHS, and it would be... There are 3 bands, right? And no matter how much work you need doing... No matter how much work you need doing, it's qualified as band. So if you just need a clean and a consultation, it's like 20 quid, right? But then if you need fillings or root canals, it goes into band 2. And band 2 is £55. And then if you need crowns or bridges, it goes into band 3, and that's like £250. So I was like, okay, so basically, the max this could possibly cost me on the NHS is $250. Maybe I should just go further afield for an NHS dentist. Maybe I should be patient.
Right.
So I was like, so I'm like, okay, it's basically the maximum it could possibly cost me is £1,000 cheaper to not go with the private dentist. So I didn't go with them, and I found an NHS dentist that took me. And I was like, okay, this is great. So I got the consultation, and I took him the treatment plan that the private dentist had given me, and I was like, okay, so this is what they said I need doing, and this is what they want to charge me, and great. So they look at me, and she says, yeah, basically same thing, 4 teeth. Two are going to be complicated because they already have fillings in already, so the old fillings need taking out and then refilling. And 2 are fairly simple because they're just teeth that need fillings, right? I'm like, okay, great, cool, awesome. And then so she takes my x-rays, and she gives me an appointment for 2 weeks. And then she says, but also your teeth, possibly because of your age or whatever, like they're a little soft, right? They're not always bad in places, but they could be, firmer. So she gives me a prescription for toothpaste with a ton of fluoride in, right? Prescription special toothpaste. And she says, right, we'll get this sorted out, be 2 appointments sorted. I'm really hoping this story is interesting. It could just be boring medical shit. But so I go away, I'm taking my toothpaste, I'm brushing it every day, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting like a kid, I'm like, making my teeth all nice and strong. Sorting it out, getting my medical guy. And I was kind of thrilled.
Just like that?
Yeah.
My name's Owen. I'm brushing my teeth. Yeah, boy.
That's how I felt. And the reason I felt like that was because I have a lot of anxiety about dentists, partly because my mum was like hysterical over teeth getting bad. So every time I go, I always feel like the dentist's going to be like, you piece of
Good
shit.
game. GG.
I always feel like the dentist's just going to sit me down and go, you dirty fucking bad teeth bastard. Do you know what I mean? And they're never like that. They always go,
piece of shit. Walk into my office with plaque? Are you kidding me? I should end you where you sit.
I always expect them to basically go, these are the worst teeth I've ever seen. And I always get the same response, which is, yeah, this is pretty normal for your age, Like, that's the response I always get. So I was like, okay, well, I haven't been in years. There are 4 things that need doing. We're going to do it 2 appointments. It's only going to cost me 50 quid. And I got some special toothpaste. I'll make my teeth nice and strong. I was thrilled. I was back to a childhood of, like, believing it was possible to be okay for dentistry. Anyway. And then my appointment's in 2 weeks. So every day for the 2 weeks, I'm using my special toothpaste. I'm getting all excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have no issues with the teeth. And I can go away not thinking about it again. Isn't that going to be nice? And the day before my appointment, 2 weeks, absolutely everything goes fine. The day before my appointment, I'm out for a meal. I'm eating a roast dinner. And the place I'm ordering it from serves, like, roast pork with crackling, right? You guys call it crackling in the US? I don't know.
Yeah, we have cracklings.
The rind. And
yeah.
I eat it. And it's quite hard. And sometimes it gets quite hard, And I eat it. It's a delicious...
We still talk about dinner?
Yeah. And I eat it, and on the way home, I'm just notice my tongue hurts. The tongue just kind of hurts. So I run my tongue along my mouth.
Still talking about dinner, right?
Yes. Okay. And I've broken my fucking tooth on the crackling. Not, by the way, not the tooth with the loose filling. Not the tooth that already has a filling and is therefore one of the complicated ones. I've broken the one that was next to one of the complicated ones to fill that is apparently the tooth that needs, like, the least work. Like, the maybe filling. It's fucking cracked in half. I'm like, oh, good. That's good.
Right? I'm really happy this happened.
Great.
Yes!
And then, so a broken tooth is supposed to be like a dental emergency. You're supposed to call your dentist immediately, right? But I'm like,
right.
Well, my appointment is tomorrow. This was the day before, right? And it's a Sunday. And my dentist, I can't afford to go to the private clinic, and the dentist is closed on weekends. So I'm like, okay, so what's my plan here? Do I just show up and be like, hey, how you doing? By the way, I need more work today. Could you do this for me? So I go to the dentist the next day, and I get there early. I'm like, I'm going to get there nice now. I don't want to be late, and I'm going to sit in the office and get seen as soon as possible. And my dentist is late. My appointment's at 2. And it gets to about 2:30 and I haven't been seen yet. And I'm like, okay, it's time to get a little concerned here. Hello to Luz Connor, how you doing? I'm starting to get a little worried about this. So I finally get sent to the dentist about 45 minutes late. And I explain, so basically...
What was that? Oh, God.
I explain, yeah, so one of my teeth broke yesterday. And she looks at it and she goes, okay, now this is not a bad break. It's not going down to, like, the root or anything. She said we have to fill this one anyway, so it'll be okay. And that'll be good. Fuzzy Weasel says, isn't a broken tooth extremely painful? If it breaks down the middle, if it breaks down to the nerve, they're apparently extremely painful. But this is called a break on the cusp. So this is basically the, it's a cusp break, which is basically when, like, the corner of the tooth comes off without actually getting down to the, nerve. It was basically like, you know, like a molar's, like, divided into 4 little points? It's like losing one of the points down the side. But I was quite worried about it. So, so she looks at it, she goes, okay, so we're gonna have to do some more work with that one. And then she says, well, we'll do what we can do today. And then she goes, so, which one would you like me to do first? And I'm like, well, you know, you're the dentist, the one... Fuzzy Weasel says, so a chip...
a
chip
real
tends
Sophie's
to be...
choice here.
A chip tends to be like when you get a front tooth. It is a similar break to a chip, but it was actually it was a break. It was a broken tooth. Anyway, so so I'm like, okay, just whichever one you think needs doing the most. And she goes, well, let's do this top one, the one that's least broken, because like least broken. She's like, because that's just gonna be a simple job. And then she turns to her assistant and says, how much time do we have since we're running late? I'm like, hold on.
No, this ain't how this works.
And she goes, about 15 minutes. I'm like, what? Beg your pardon? So then I'm treated to the fastest drill and fill I've ever experienced in my life, right? You know, and you know, like they jam it in there. And then she goes, okay, how does that feel? So I run my tongue over my teeth, and there's like a ridge. There's like a real sharp ridge to it. I'm like, I can feel a ridge. She goes, okay. Levels it out a bit. How does it feel now? It's exactly the same. Okay, well that might get better. I'm like, well, I guess I don't put my tongue on that tooth a lot. That'll be fine. Why not? And then she goes, okay, well. And then she turns to her assistant. She goes, so, do you want to just extend the appointment next week? Make that one longer? I'm like, what? Beg your pardon? We're only doing one tooth now? Apparently? So,
I doth protest.
like, being charitable, I guess I'd say maybe, the break thus rendered the job more complicated. And thus it was going to take longer. So now I have an extra long appointment, next week to sort that out. And then now, okay, so I'm fine, okay. I broke a tooth, they're going to sort it out. They were going to be filling these 2 teeth anyway, so nothing too much has changed. That's fine. Okay, so then a week goes by. Week goes by, perfectly fine. My dentist appointment is tomorrow. And then today, I break another tooth. And it's the tooth...
Everything's coming up, Owen.
It's the tooth that they just drilled. And she said to me, she said, okay, so this has to be a little deep. It's on a wisdom tooth, and they can be a little funny, so it might be painful. And if it's painful, if it's gone too deep, it might need cleaning out, or it might need a root canal. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Good to know. She didn't say anything about, you might be eating some chocolate, and and the back of the tooth will fall off while you are eating.
As it does.
You know, and I looked this up, and I'm not an expert. I wouldn't judge. I think I know what's happened. Sometimes teeth can break when they put fillings in that are too big for the teeth, because that is a faster and cheaper way of doing it. I could be wrong. I think they rushed my tooth. I think she didn't have a lot of time, and I think she rushed it, and was bing about it. And so didn't leave enough. Well, yeah, and did a big
It's very
filling.
big of you for shorting.
Yeah.
For basically putting me in the express lane to Plainville.
And I think now this is also a cusp break, fortunately. So what's happened is, where she's filled it, there hasn't been enough tooth left around the filling. So when it's come to chewing something properly for the first time, because I've been kind of avoiding it, I've been favoring it, you know, but then I sort of forgot. When it's come to chewing anything with some substance, what it's done is it's just basically knocked the tooth off around the other side of the filling. Now I'm hoping when I get in there, if the only thing that is now exposed is filling, she might just be able to just, you know, just put a bit more filling material on it. But, I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't need, like, a crown now, because that puts me in band 3, and I'd like to stay in that cushy 50-pound band. Mind you, any further work, according to the NHS pricing band, any further work that he's doing as a result of a mistake made by the dentist is not... But I'd have to get them to admit to that first.
Right.
So, I went from having one thing I knew that needed doing, and a loose filling, to having 2 broken teeth, and... And now I don't know. Like, I have no idea where it's going to go tomorrow. Am I going to get in there and she's going to go, we've got 4 things to do, is it? Okay. Susan, could we just make a new, longer appointment for next week?
How much time do we have? 14 seconds? Done. Give me the Black & Decker drill.
Give me the pliers. And, that tooth is
I'm
fixed.
going in rough. Should we get some local anesthesia? There's no time!
Right, so, like, the words you want, the last words you want to hear when you go into a dentist before they drill you is, how much time do we have? You know, since we're running so late.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, like, there's certain things, right? There's... Like, okay, I need, you know, my oil change in my car. Alright, yeah, you could probably do a rush job. Nothing's probably gonna happen. Man, I don't know. Things involving your body, generally, I don't know. Take your time. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Man, it's really nice to find a game where I'm consistently better than you at.
So that's my very British dentistry story today. I have conveniently broken a tooth on a Sunday when I cannot phone the dentist 2 weeks in a row the day before my appointment. I think she's going to think I'm doing it on purpose.
You think she thinks you fancy her? Is that what it is?
Well, do you know what was really worrying? I got that.
I think this bald man finds me attractive.
So she was running late, and I was like, so, you're having a busy day? And she's like, yeah, I just got here from Lisbon. I was like, what? She was like, well, I live in Lisbon, and I go home on Thursday. And
like Portugal?
Yeah, so... so basically, my dentist commutes via, presumably, jet. Every Monday morning. No, I'm sorry, but I don't really want my dentist to be jet-lagged. I'm sure she's very good at the job.
Maybe you can have it arranged, like have your meeting or your appointment on the plane, you know?
Haha, yeah. I'd like that. So yeah, so basically, what really annoyed me is, I basically now have, as a result of this, so I had, like I said, I had the filling that came loose, which has an area of exposed tooth, right? And the area that was bad and I knew needed sorting used to be jammed up next to the tooth before it, so it wasn't too bad. It wasn't exposed, right? But it was an area that needed fixing. But the area next to it, on the tooth next to it, is where the other tooth has broken, right? And so now that is also an exposed tooth around a filling, and has exposed the area that was bad on the other tooth as well, because they're next to it. And then the other filling has broken. So, I've gone from having 1 loose filling and 1 potentially bad tooth to having 4 potentially open to infection, like, unprotected teeth in my mouth as a result of going to the dentist. And when I went to the dentist, she chose not to fix any of these and instead drill the least damaged tooth, leaving me for an extra week, right?
Once again, I'm going back I'm going back to the
and then
I'm going back to the mechanic analogy here, where it's like, okay, my brakes are bad, I need a new oil change, and my air conditioner could probably use a recharge. How much time we got? I suppose we should do the air conditioner. It's January!
No, it's more like you went in with those 3 things, and then they went, hey, got you some new fuzzy dice.
I don't know. I like fuzzy dice.
So basically, I'm gonna try tomorrow and get to the dentist with at least one of the broken teeth. Yeah. Be nice. I was like, I mean, I know it makes sense. Like, I know they know what they're doing, but it's always weird when you go to the dentist and they get a big metal implement out and start scraping big holes in your teeth and go, and then they go, oh, it looks like there's some sort of cavity here. Yeah, I know! You just jammed a spear into it!
I could have told you that! You know what? How about you just start poking teeth and I'll tell you which one is fucked up, alright? You know how I know? Because it hurts!
So yeah, that was my British dentistry story, which, like, I hate to say it, but 1,200 pounds is starting to sound pretty good right about now. At least, like, it is, like, it is reassuring that no matter how bad things get, it can't cost me more than 250 pounds, because that's band 3. That's good. That's a good, nice, reassuring system. But if she's gonna break all my teeth in the process of fixing them, and it's gonna take, like, that's not good.
So, it's gonna be like, oh, so we have a new experimental treatment here. Don't be alarmed, all right? But this is a brick. All right, now smile wide. All right. Oh. Hey, Space Mania. Spice Mania. I mean,
if I hear the phrase, "How much time do we have?" I'm gonna be very worried tomorrow.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear about your teeth, man. Like,
they weren't that bad before I went to the dentist. No, I think it must be, like, I say this through Pepsi, but I think perhaps I'm drinking too much soda. If all the teeth at the back seem to be weakened, I think maybe I'm drinking too much of the fizzies.
You have a custom emoji that is a Pepsi can. Yeah, I'm guessing you'd probably drink too much Pepsi. Alright?
Yeah,
call me crazy.
I mean, I'm hoping the fluoride toothpaste helps, but since I started using it, I have broken 2 teeth. I realize that's not a very fair criticism, because I only started using it, like, 3 weeks ago, and I'm sure it doesn't work that fast, but...
I don't know.
Yeah, am I gonna get to the thing and they're like, oh, this isn't fluoride, this is calcium rotter.
This is rubber cement.
This is for people whose teeth are too hard.
It exists?
No, I hope not.
Oh. Oh. So... that was kind of cool. So I'm picking up on this game a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and focus in a little bit, because I'm, whoa! I had a little trouble telling my story and doing the, doing the game too, but... how about you? What have you been doing this week in a more interesting way? What would you like to talk about? I'm done talking about my dentist adventures. Whoa! Alright, bomb.
Yeah. I like that. Earlier, that's all that does? It's like...
oh no, that was the spike ball.
Oh, yeah.
That's bullshit. The harm is the worst, by the way.
I don't know, I kind of dig it. You gotta know how to use it, you know?
Fuck you.
Oh, God. Alright, sorry. I don't care if you don't know how. It doesn't change the fact that it's true. That you need to actually know how to use a weapon to use it. Like... Wow, that got you angry. So, like I said, I decided to take this week off from really doing anything productive. And to ensure that I do this, I bought a new game. And it's not really a new game, but it's new to me, alright? Which is more important. I picked the Persona 5, which I've been talking to about a long time. And, which is absolutely a break of a promise that I made to people, because I held a Twitter poll about what game I would buy next. And the choice was Nier Automata or Persona 5. And Nier Automata did win the poll. But here's the thing. Persona 5 was on sale. So unfortunately,
how many votes you get in that poll?
I think it ended up being 10 altogether.
See, I was 2 of those, so I don't really mind.
Right. So
yeah, let's just run past each other, not touching.
Popular opinion will always take a backseat to my wallet. So sorry.
I'm just picturing you driving around in a little car with all your friends and your wallet just up front. All your friends squeezed into the back really uncomfortably. And your wallet's just on the couch. He's just smiling. He's got a little seatbelt on. It's got all the leg room, you know. So we got like little cartoon legs. Just jiggling them around like...
Can we roll down the window a little bit? Yeah, anything for you, wallet.
Yeah. Can we have ice cream?
It's January.
Spice Mania says, so, how are you? Pretty good.
Oh, good. I guess before I get into it, we have a few things on the chat. Spice Mania, how are you? Yeah, not too bad. Ninth Dimension Gaming says, it looks like Logan Paul is back. Oh, good.
Was he gone?
Yeah, not long enough. Me and Owen were actually talking about this a little bit earlier today. I discovered that Logan Paul is actually has a Doritos commercial coming out during the Super Bowl where he interacts with a ghost, or i.e. a dead person, which is insane to me that they would still actually air that, you know? Oh shit. But yeah, so I bought a new game, Persona 5, and I like it. It's really good. There's some weird things though about it. I think I described it to Owen as being Japanese as fuck.
Yeah, Japanese ass fuck.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of figured you were gonna retread on that joke, so I figured I'm just gonna go with it. Yep, Japanese ass fuck. But what the hell was that? Did you just catch that?
I don't think so. Oh, I finally got these things. These pain in the ass things.
And now you don't. But there's some other kind of strange things about this game, other than being like all anime and stuff. So yeah, like the aesthetic is based in anime, but there's a lot more like to it. Like it's very frenetic, very bright. And like the UI and like everything about it is nothing. How do I explain? Nothing is half done in this game, and it's kind of fascinating. They took no shortcuts, you know, and because it's a typical RPG game where, you know, they have a lot of text, and you know, it comes up in that whole thing where, you know, it shows one person's like face and then what they're supposedly saying. that sort of thing.
Yeah. Hello to
You know
Sam
what I mean?
Fallman. Did I say hello already? How you doing, Sam?
But you know what I mean, right? Where it's
Yeah.
you know, they'll show like the character portrait, and then they'll give you a box with the text in it. That's a majority of how they relay information to this game, which is fine. That's very normal for a JRPG. What's absolutely fascinating about this to me is that it's also voiced. Every little bit of it is voiced. Which makes me wonder how long that this game has been in development. Because there's so many weird... you know how everyone generally talks about like Nintendo having like, oh, the Nintendo polish, right?
Right.
This game has that. Like, there's so many little things about it that you can tell that we put a lot of time into this game. I mean, and some of the stuff is just so unnecessary, but it's, you know, it adds to...
Whoa! I was really trying to get back on there.
Go forth, Hammer! Live on! So there's that. There's also so much about this game that reminds me of a like PS2 era game, right? Like, you can only save in certain places. They don't let you. You need save points. And it's actually a major part of the game.
See that?
And like, I can't remember the last time I've seen like save points, you know?
That's always my favorite thing about Final Fantasy VII.
With the save points?
Yeah, it's one of the things I always think of fondly when I remember that game.
Oh shit! Were we in tie?
Yeah. Not
Oh, I
anymore.
didn't know that.
Hey!
But so okay, so that's kind of, and it's kind of incredibly difficult. Like, the game is very hard, and it has that sort of unrelenting difficulty that reminds me of PS2 era RPGs. You know, like, I thought Final Fantasy X was a very difficult game towards the end, especially. Things like, what are some other RPGs from that era that I played? I mean, not necessarily even PS2 era, but like, you know, all the Final Fantasy games I think are very difficult in their own way.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And the game freeze?
No, it works for me.
Oh no, it kicked me out.
Huh. Hold on, let me see. Oh, I've added a CPU by mistake.
So it's very difficult, and
I sent you another invite.
the first thing that really struck me, though, this game is dark. Like, it's so, it's so not, like, there's such a weird disconnect between the visuals and then the subject matter, you know?
Right.
Because, like, yeah, it's all bright, and you're high school kids, and everyone's kind of like, we're in high school, and did you plan for your exams? And that sort of thing. But then, like, once you start to, like, realize... So I just got through the first section, and I'm going to spoil this first section for everyone, so... You end up crossing paths with this, gym teacher. Who, he's kind of the pride and joy of the school. Because he was an Olympic gold medalist, and they're basically, it's because you're going to a charter school or academy, and so their big selling point is that our PE teacher is an Olympic gold medalist. So have your kids come to this school, right? And they'll get the best. They'll be on the best volleyball team in the country, and sort of thing. And immediately your character, huh?
That old setup.
Yeah, right? So, but right away, your character and him kind of don't see eye to eye, and you end up associated with this other kid who doesn't really like him either way. So you're immediately targeted by this guy, and you come to realize real quick that, oh, this guy is an asshole, like far beyond just being a jerk. And you realize that he's doing stuff like he's essentially beating. Oh my god, that is the worst section of the game right there.
Well, I've never been stuck in it.
Fuck you. Fall. But yeah, he's like abusing the kids on his team. He is like physically abusing them because they're all walking around like in bandages and bruises and stuff. And then you realize that he's also like sexually assaulting like the female members of his team. And in fact, one of the players that end up or one of the characters that ends up on your like team, she gets propositioned by this guy, and he basically says like, oh, if you don't, your best friend is going to lose her starting spot on the team, and probably her free ride to college and all this sort of stuff. So this guy's a bad guy. And this girl who's going to lose her spot on the team finds out about this, and because her name's On, the girl on your team who helps you in the dungeon and stuff, she refuses him. Like, she won't do it. And he basically changes his mind and decides he's going to go after her friend as revenge, which leads to this girl trying to kill herself.
Wow, that's pretty dark.
Yeah, it gets real dark. And yeah, and it just like, and it's really hard to like rectify this idea like, oh, these are just kids in high school. And like there's even like the setup of like why you're where you're at, because like you and oh my god, you being in Tokyo, because that's where the game takes place. That's not your home. Like, that's not your hometown. I hate this stage. I'm gonna tell you right now. This.
Well, that seems pretty normal to me.
Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah, watch as I kick your ass everywhere else.
Hello to Gregory Honey, how you doing?
He says hello. Yeah. But the circumstances that brought you to Tokyo is that when you're in your hometown, you came across this guy attempting to throw himself on top of this woman and like drag her into a car, presumably to rape her, and you step in and you help her, and the guy turns around and sues you and gets you arrested for assault. And so you have to serve out your probation time in Tokyo. So like, the game is so fucking dark. Like, but then it's like they intercut it with these moments like, oh, you should, let's go to the diner and eat a bunch of beef bowls. Yeah, what is this great? Man, really shame about that girl who tried to kill herself. Like, it's just very, very strange.
3, 2, 1, brawl.
And yeah, it's just.
It sounds really good.
The thing is,
I wasn't massively interested in it before you started playing it. Now I'm kind of really interested in it.
I'll tell you this, all right? It is not a game that I think you can really play casually. because the game, like, beyond like just the subject matter, the game has so many mechanics to it. Like I said, I just finished the first section of it, and oh my god, that fuck your little spear thing.
Oh, first it was the stage, now it's the spear. What are you gonna blame John next? What are you gonna blame next, John? Pretty soon, you're gonna have to acknowledge that maybe it's just you being bad at the game.
Fuck
Shit.
you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Do you know what I might do? I might see if I can find for cheap one of the old Persona games and see if I'm interested. Do you know what I mean?
They're all kind of like that, though. And
Sure.
And that was actually another thing. That's another thing I wanted to bring up is. So this is the first one that this is the first one that I've played, but I've watched to completion someone play Persona 4, and the similarities between these is really astounding.
You sure didn't just watch a playthrough of Persona 5 by mistake?
Yes, Owen, for fuck's sakes. But like, for instance, when you get to Tokyo, you find out that you're under the tutelage of this guy who doesn't like you. He just straight up doesn't like you, and he calls you like a little asshole all the time, and he thinks that, you know, you're going nowhere, and he's just wasting his time doing this, but it was out of obligation to, like, your family. The same thing happens in Persona 4. Like, when you first show up...
the same guy?
No, it's not. But when you show up, the guy in Persona 4 is the same way. He's just like, oh, God, you know, just because you're my nephew, like, doesn't mean I have to like you, and blah, 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 like, you're just gonna get in trouble, I don't know why you're here. It's the same beat, like, the same story beat. But it's, I don't know, it's a really interesting game, because, like, there's so much talk about it too, you know?
Damn it!
Yeah, fuck you. Like, I just don't know where to really start with the game, like, when I try to explain it. Because I'll tell you, there's so many mechanics in the game and so many systems, and all of them are interesting. There's none of them that are like, oh, really, I have to do that? And, so it's kind of weird, like, it's... Because normally, games like that, like, I don't like, you know, where I have to, like, balance so much stuff. But they do it in such a really interesting way in this game, like I said before, like, the big thing about this game is there are... Oh, really?
Whoa, 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 easy boy. Oh, you suck. Hello to Concan 2005, how you doing?
Hey guys, make sure you hit those like buttons.
Should we put some bots in?
Yeah, let's put some bots in. I'm kind of curious, can we just put bots in and watch them?
I don't think so. Because look, we're in by default.
Right. Yeah, add some bots. So one of the, like, the big thing about the game is it's basically broken up into two things. There's the dungeon crawling section, which is all turn-based combat, and there's some interesting stuff they do in there as well. Do you have to push X?
Oh yeah,
okay,
I hadn't. Sorry, my fault.
And there's some cool stuff in there, like they add some stealth elements. And they add, like, this whole system of, like, you can basically set up an ambush if you can get the jump on someone. And so that's all kind of interesting. But then it's split up into this whole bit where, oh no, get away from me with your stupid spear. What the?
Yeah, Spear Boy!
Spear Boy, coming to ruin the motherfucking day. Oh shit. Yeah, I got a spear too, fucker. Ow.
Damn it!
Hey, I'm awesome. And humble. But the other part of the game is almost more interesting to me than the combat. There's this weird, like, social simulator sort of thing you have to do,
Right.
where you have to try to live as a you have to live as a normal teenager and form relationships and lasting friendships with people. And that actually makes you more powerful in the dungeons. So, in between like jumping into dungeons and fighting these horrible monsters, you have to make sure that you're going to play baseball with your buddy.
Have you seen this? Look, watch. I can actually just ride my little rocket. Watch. Whee! That'll come in handy next time I.
Okay, whatever you want to call it, Owen.
Whoa, 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 whoa. See you later, Ezio. Did you see that Assassin's Creed? Did you see that Final Fantasy 15 had a special Assassin's Creed event called the Assassins Festival? There was a temporary event in one of the towns.
Oh, there's a crossover with Origins as well. There's a mission where what's his name? Bayek?
Yeah.
He comes across the main villain from Final Fantasy 15
in the desert.
And if he completes the mission, he gets a chocobo camel to ride.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really weird. But
yeah, if they were both Ubisoft games, I could understand it. But they ain't.
I don't know. There's been stuff like that before, though,
Sure, it's not that common. There was a really nice Assassin's Creed costume in one of the Ghost Recon games once, but they're both Ubisoft games. Is it really bad that we're all being beaten by the cow?
Are we?
Or are we totally trashing the cow? Oh no, we're thrashing the cow. That's how many times the cow's been killed, not how many times we've killed it. We've been killed.
I'm like, really? I don't remember being killed by the cow once.
And I'm dead.
5, 4, 3.
Oh shit.
2.
I did not do well that time.
I think I did.
Player 2 wins.
Oh no, the cow beat the shit out of us.
Yeah.
Fucking cow.
Moo to you.
So I'm trying to think of what else I can talk about with Persona that I guess it's one of those games that you kind of have to experience.
Something to talk about.
There's child rape going on.
Beg your pardon? You took my charming parody song and took it to a dark place.
Well, yeah, that's what I do.
Me too.
It's what Persona does. It takes a really charming art style and really kind of interesting and lovable characters and puts them in horrific situations.
It does remind me of when 90s comics and cartoons did that a lot. You'd get it did happen a lot, didn't it? in the 90s, where you'd get the gritty reboot of things in comics, and it'd be like, yeah, it's Todd McFarlane's Inch High Private Eye. An Inch High Private Eye is like Eddie Valiant from Roger Rabbit, but there's no like charm. He's like a gritty alcoholic detective. Oh, I want to see that now. I want Todd McFarlane's Inch High Private Eye to be a thing. And it's like this. It's like Sam and Twitch, you know?
Right. Oh God! Get off me! Fucking wolf! Leave me alone! Oh.
Frank Miller's Nintendo Power Hour.
Oh God!
Mario, the Mushroom Kingdom's gone to hell. No one cares about justice anymore. Princess Peach dies after a
time when a man could wake up, be a fungus, and be happy.
Princess Peach dies after a Goomba puts a grenade in a handbag on the subway.
No, just like Gangnam Style shoots her in the back of the head in an alleyway.
Mario's never the same again. Shaves off his mustache.
It's like Max Payne. Just I can still hear the cries. Those Goombas, all the ones I've murdered, stomped on, cried out, Mario, why? Why?
Did you
I just screamed out, why not?
Did you take a look at that video series I sent you about the comics in the 90s and Marvel's almost bankruptcy and stuff?
Oh,
it was really good.
I completely forgot about that. I'm sorry.
No, it's alright. It wasn't homework. I think you might like it if you get a chance to watch it. They go into things like the foundation of Valiant, you know, and the formation of Image. And I didn't realize. I probably should have realized, but I didn't realize that Image was actually more like an alliance of independent studios than a true company, you know. I'd never really realized that at the time. That makes sense, you know, given how they were all about retaining ownership and things like that.
Right. Because actually, I remember I used to listen to a podcast a lot with Scott Kurtz, the guy who does PvP webcomic, and he was an Image guy because they were reprinting his stuff, you know, in physical copies, and then Image was releasing them. And he kind of explained how it worked. Was he would retain ownership of his stuff, and so anything that he sold, like that had nothing to do with Image, he got all that money. He didn't have to share profits. But all the print stuff, Image would be paid for the same way like comics are now, where a comic book shop or outlet would buy X amount of copies, and then it was, you know, the markups that is how the store would get their money, you know? I did terrible. Oh, I got second. How did I do that?
Well, that video series is really worth watching. They go into stuff like, you know, when Marvel basically bought their biggest distributor and then made it mandatory they'd only ship Marvel comics, and ended up accidentally destroying their entire market.
Right.
It goes into that whole stuff in a lot of detail. It's really good. Funnily enough, do you know what I found in a charity shop the other day? I'm really thrilled by this. I'm going to read it and talk about it on the show. I found a trade paperback of, we've talked about this before, the Wildstorm Fantastic Four run from the period of time, when they farmed out a lot of their comics to Image, and and
Three, two,
and they moved certain characters off into their own pocket universe.
Right.
And I've never read it before. I've heard it was terrible, but I've never read it, and it was kind of interesting. It was originally Wildstorm and what's his name? I've completely forgotten his name. What's his name? The image guy who pretty much everybody hates.
Liefeld.
Rob Liefeld, yeah. What was his company? Awesome Comics?
Probably. Footless.
So half the characters went to Wildstorm, which was Jim Lee,
Right.
and half the comics went to Liefeld, and all Liefeld's books were late and basically had to get cancelled, and Wildstorm had to take over on them all because he basically fucked them all up. Liefeld does not come off very well in this video series.
No, I can't imagine. He doesn't come off well anywhere. Like, you hear nothing really good about him.
No. Well, have you heard the story? Well, I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so I now have a trade paperback of the beginning of the Fantastic Four run by Image, and I'm
pretty
really
awesome.
looking forward to reading it because it sounds terrible. Despite the fact that Jim Lee's apparently a very nice guy,
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Jim.
doesn't mean he's the right guy to run the
Good old
Fantastic Four.
Jim.
You know.
Oh shit.
But have you
Yeah, I
heard
killed myself.
have you heard this Liefeld story of American Agent, where he basically ripped off Captain America because they wouldn't let him draw it anymore?
No.
So he creates a ripoff of Captain America, but he can't get the rights obviously because it's Captain America. And he calls it something like American Agent.
Right.
But he can't get the
As you
rights to
do.
that. So he decides instead he's going to try and get the rights to the almost Captain America character that Jack Kirby came up with after he was forced to stop working for Marvel.
Oh, U.S. Agent?
Yes. So he decides he'll get the rights for US Agent instead, and because Marvel haven't challenged that recently, that'll be fine. Everything will be above board, right? But his widow wants
Right.
too much money, so he basically rips off her rights and says he's just going to do the comic anyway to put her under pressure to handing over the rights to to him, basically. And then once he's got the rights, he basically just draws US Agent. He just calls him whatever he wants to call him. I can't remember. I think he still called him Agent America or whatever, whatever name he actually gave him. But then he basically just draws him as Captain America, you know?
Right.
And even gives him a shield, and eventually it goes to court, and the compromise they come up with is he can have a shield, but he can never throw it in the comics. And then Rob Liefeld just
funny.
draws him throwing it anyway. They also go into a lot of
That's
stuff
always
like
the funny
Howard
thing
the Duck and
about,
stuff.
I always thought it was funny about comics. Whenever there's like right issues come up, it's like, okay, you can do this, but you can't really do that. Oh yeah. They just do it anyways. No one gives a shit.
Well, of course they do, because the thing is, nobody reads all the comics. The simple
Right.
fact is that, like, copyright infringement has its... Like, I've gone on record and saying, like, I think copyright laws are currently a mess. And in many ways, they don't benefit the consumer, and they don't do the job they're supposed to do. But they have their place, right? You know, you shouldn't
Right.
be able to make a comic book character called Superb Man, and he looks just like Superman, and you know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be able to
Right.
do that. I mean, there's an issue with Superman because Superman should have lapsed into
Lord Fries.
common usage a long time ago, but you know that's
Sure.
a separate issue. But I think the video game industry kind of has it right, because if you notice, the video game industry has pretty much settled into a pattern of, unless you are explicitly calling your video game Gears of War, geared for war, with characters
Right.
called Marcel Phoenix, you know what I mean? Unless it's that close, the video game industry has pretty much gone with, yeah, just let it go, and we all get better games. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
As long as it's not brazen. you
That's the
know?
funny thing about titles. You can't actually copyright titles, right?
Right. But you can
can't do it.
trademark titles differently. Like do you remember the Scrolls thing? Bethesda always seems to get themselves in trouble for this. I'm just going for this. I'm gunning for the cow. Like, I'm trying to think of what the last big, genuine copyright issue with video games was that wasn't over, like I remember that awful X-Men game made by Silicon Knights. That was involved in an issue, but that was an engine licensing issue.
Right.
But when was the last time someone
when
was the last time someone made a serious legal case that basically said, you ripped off our game? It doesn't seem to happen in games that much, does it?
No, not really. Well, yeah, they do actually. PUBG tried to go after.
Well, no, they didn't go after them legally, though.
They didn't? I thought there was some sort of talk of legal action.
Maybe there was. I don't know. See, their issue was interesting because what they were saying is that, I mean, it's complete bollocks. But the complaint they were making was that they'd licensed the engine from them, and then they were basically using... I think they were suggesting that the legal issue there was that Epic were using... Is it Epic? I think it's Epic, isn't it? We're using their engine assets, or I don't know, borrowing their modifications. I mean, it's a mess, to be honest. But no one really takes that one seriously. I mean, there's the famous one. There's the Gianni sisters.
Right.
But it just doesn't happen that much in games. In games, most people have pretty much decided... You know, just do it. And it's the right approach as well, because in games, so many people have copied from so many other people just to make games work.
Right. Well, I know there's an issue right now with Crytek and what is it called? Space Imperium Games.
Right. But that's another licensing issue in that they...
Right, with the engine.
Yeah. And then that is related, but that's the interesting thing. Piracy in video games seems to extend to code. Did you take code without paying for it?
Right.
Okay, says, I can't believe our ignorant and corrupt patent system gave patents for Candy and Cyberpunk. Yeah, the Cyberpunk one I think was gross.
They never got that one for the Candy though, right? I thought that was like, oh, we're gonna try to license Candy.
I think they got it.
Couldn't.
I think they got Candy, right? I could be wrong.
I don't think so.
The Cyberpunk one was interesting because, like, I'm astonished I'm astonished they gave him the Cyberpunk one. Because that should never have been allowed. Really.
No. Well, I guess, I don't know, like, it was never really I don't know. You feel like there's... Who got it? Who...
I believe it was CD Projekt Red, because they bought the rights to... Remember that old adventure game, Cyberpunk 20-something-something? They bought the rights to that game, and then they made a sequel. So the title of the game is something like Cyberpunk 2099 or 3053. Do you know what I mean? It's got one of those kind of titles. And they got the trademark on Cyberpunk for it. And a lot of the objections were based on the fact that that is a generic word that they didn't come up with and are not associated with enough for a trademark. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you think of the word cyberpunk, you don't go, oh yeah, that game.
But I guess... I'm trying to think. Like, because it sounds to me like it's not going to be a case of no one can use that word, right? Like, if someone says, like, oh, my game is a cyberpunk game, they don't have to pay these people, right?
No.
It's...
What it means is you can't make another game called Cyberpunk.
Right, but that doesn't seem very corrupt to me, I guess. Like, because you're not, like you said, you're not supposed to be able to trademark titles, right? Like, so I can go out and make a movie and call it Citizen Kane if I wanted to, right? I think I'm waiting on you, man.
Oh, sorry.
But I guess I don't know. For some reason, that just doesn't really strike me as being corrupt. Because I get the feeling that whole thing probably only extends to like video game properties, you know? Like,
for me, that's not the issue. For me, the issue is, should you be able to trademark a word that is, broadly speaking, generic and in usage?
but that's the thing. Like, it's not broadly used in that context, you know? Which is where all that applies to.
But that's not the point for me.
No, it is the point.
No, I don't agree. Here's the issue, right? What if someone wants to make a game in the cyberpunk genre and they want to call it, I don't know, Cyberpunk Adventure? Why should one person be able to trademark the word just because they already made a game called Cyberpunk?
But see, I don't necessarily know if that will even apply.
No, it does. I remember the case. The trademark basically says, and the intent to challenges, they basically, you can't make games with Cyberpunk in the title. That's what the trademark gives them the right to. Games with the title Cyberpunk. You can't have another game titled Cyberpunk because CD Projekt Red has the title. I remember the case. I was reading about it.
But you can get around that so easily. Like this.
Well.
Oh, I called it Cyberpunk Adventures, but I spelled it SYBER.
Sure,
PUNK.
but why should you have to? You know, CD Projekt Red didn't come up with the word. The original, the word doesn't come from the title of that game. It is, I mean, it's not, you might argue it's a relatively niche word, but it is still a generic term in usage among a group and a community that regularly uses it. Do you know what I mean? It's not, the word doesn't come from or is inherently associated with that game. Just because they took the word and called their game it. You know what I mean?
But, okay, the issue is that this is now... This is like a hindsight 2020 thing, right? Because there's no way they would have been granted that trademark if there had been 1,000 games, you know, 100 games, a freaking dozen games, all right, that all use that term, right? It's relatively unused in titles. So now people are like, oh, well, now we want to be upset with it, when it's like, well, no one's using it, and now you do. It sounds like sour grapes to me. You know? No,
that's not what it's about. It's not about wanting to use the title. It's not even about it's about granting someone a trademark for a generic term. Because the simple fact is people are using it... It's about
I don't even think... I would not consider cyberpunk a generic term.
Well, it certainly is if you're talking about genres of literature. It doesn't refer to a specific product, does it?
But once again, this doesn't apply to literature.
But that's not the point. No. Right, it doesn't apply to literature, and that's fair enough. I get what you're saying, but... should you be able to take generic terms in one area and say, okay, because I called it my title, it now refers only to my product in this specific area?
Well, once again, it's only titles. I can still make a game and say it's a cyberpunk game.
Sure.
And claim it as the genre.
Sure,
like,
but that's not my point.
The only thing this is affecting is the title. And
okay, but my point is, what gives someone the right to take a word that is in generic usage
Not as a title.
But that's not the point. That's irrelevant. What gives you the right to take something that doesn't
No, it is
belong
relevant,
to you?
because you have to look at the scope of things. You have to look at the scope of the trademark.
Okay.
They can use it for titles. So, in that being said, Cyberpunk was not being used generically as a title.
One brawl.
Because the trademark doesn't apply to anything else. So you have to look at the one thing it does apply to.
Okay. So what?
So what? No, you don't get to see so what. You're the one making the case that it's bad. Like,
It's not, it's a case, well, okay.
I'm gonna beat you in a legal submission. Go. Come here. One of my fists is called habeas, the other one's called corpus. Go on, go on.
I can't believe that worked.
I guess that's what I'm getting at here is, like, it's very easy to look at something like that and, like, immediately go, evil, right? It's bad. You know, how could they do something like this? But when you really stop and look at it, you have to look at the scope and what it actually affects. In reality, it doesn't really affect that much, because
It's not about that to me. It's about how much it affects is not about that. It's about claiming ownership of something you have no right to claim ownership of.
but who determines that? Like, 'cause to me that sounds like it's just a completely personal opinion. Like I just don't think that people should have that. But that's not really how, like, laws work.
Sure. Well, sure, but we're talking about whether nobody's saying the patent's illegal. So we're talking about whether the law should function in that way, aren't we?
Double knockout.
So the question is, should
No,
you be
okay,
able to patent something?
I would be on your side, all right, on this if it was a case of, okay, they trademarked the word cyberpunk and it cannot be utilized in any means unless approved by them or they receive some sort of compensation. All right, that I would be like, okay, that's wrong. All right, but like I said, this is one of the things where you have to observe or really take into account the scope.
Well, okay, here's something very
And-
simple. Well, no, why don't you answer my point? Because you've talked very much about scope, and I've told you that for me it's not about scope, it's about the principle. Why should they be able to patent something they didn't originate, and play no role in originating, and are not overtly associated with, beyond deciding to make the name of the game already benefiting from the generic use of the term? Because here's how it seems to me. Here they have a term that they didn't originate, didn't come up with, didn't play any part in developing, but they've taken it for the name of their game and then trademarked it, thus benefiting from the fact that in other contexts it's in generic usage, nothing to do with them. All they've done is turned a generic term into a trademark, thus benefiting from it, thus getting extra publicity for their game, and you know, they are benefiting from the generic usage of the game while denying that usage to other people. And what I'm saying is, why should they have a right to trademark something they played no part in developing? That's the issue to me.
5, 4,
Well, okay, if that's the case, like, then no one should ever have, like, a trademark, right? Because Pizza Hut didn't invent the word pizza or hut,
No,
right? They had
but
no
they
part in creating that term.
No, that's not true. The term Pizza Hut, the combination of the term, the complete term. I wouldn't care if their patent was Cyberpunk 2077 or 20XX or Cyberpunk space year. I think that was a perfectly acceptable trademark.
Lord Frax.
man.
But you still haven't answered my question. Why should they be able to patent a term they play no role in originating? Well, trademark a term, sorry. They didn't make the original game. The original game never had a patent. They're making a new game. They bought the rights to the game. They didn't come up with the word.
Right. They bought the rights to it, so it's their property. So now they are...
Okay.
They may not have originated that term, but it's still an asset of theirs that they have a right to protect.
They have a right to protect the asset. Why do they have a right to trademark the word? I'm not saying they should give up the rights to the name of the game, which is Cyberpunk. I think it's Cyberpunk 2077. Trademark that. Why have they got a right to trademark Cyberpunk specifically?
Okay, but then they also what that does if you're only trademarking that, you lose the ability, or you don't lose the ability, but your ability to make sequels, to make other parts of this franchise are now...
No, you don't. You can call it Cyberpunk 2078.
Well, then why didn't anyone else name their shit that? That's the same point I made. It's...
Because they can't. They can't make a game called Cyberpunk Village, Cyberpunk Train.
They could have made it before this happened.
But that's
you know
not
what
the,
I mean?
No. Because the point is not about whether anybody else even wants to call their name Cyberpunk. The point is very simply about what gives them the right to even expect to be allowed to do that. What gives them the right?
The protection of their asset.
But their asset is a game called Cyberpunk 2077. Their asset is not the word Cyberpunk. Or it shouldn't be. Why do they have the right to do that?
But that is their asset. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if they want to make... If they didn't trademark that means someone else can just come around and go, okay, we made Cyberpunk 20 blah blah blah. We made Cyberpunk 20 blah blah blah. We made Cyberpunk 12, you know, whatever. They can say whatever they want, which limits them from being able to do something with the property that they paid for.
I agree it limits them from being able to do something with the property that they paid for. I completely agree. But my point is, why is it okay if the word is cyberpunk when it wouldn't be okay if the word was horror?
Has horror been tried being titled for a title?
If I called a game... Well, what would you say? If I made a game called Horror 2000 and I tried to trademark the word horror and stop other people from putting the word horror in their game title, what would you think? There aren't that many games called horror.
I would say go for it.
Bullshit.
Like, no, why wouldn't I? No, tell me, why wouldn't I?
Well, I don't know. Because it's bullshit! Because I don't own the word.
It's not bullshit. Okay, once again, this goes back to my original point. If someone were to trademark the term horror and it could not be used in any other context, yeah, issue, right? But to trademark a term and say, no one else can use this as a title for their thing, no, that's not going to bother me. Alright?
What should? There you go. It's nonsense.
Well, it shouldn't bother you. There.
My issue is, the thing is, I totally get, right, that other people being able to make games called Cyberpunk makes the value of the rights to the game Cyberpunk less valuable. But to me, that just means they made a shitty purchase, not they suddenly have the right to trademark words they have no ownership over. You know? You don't get that right just because your intellectual property is less valuable without it. You have to demonstrate why they should have that right. This goes into a very
big problem with rights, alright? And people's use of the term rights. Someone's theoretical right to call something shouldn't trump someone's right to do what they want on something they've already made the effort to obtain.
Okay. But why should they have the right to trademark the word cyberpunk? You haven't explained that to me. Why does buying... No. Why does buying the rights to a game that is called Cyberpunk, the rights to the game, the intellectual property to a game called Cyberpunk 20 whatever, right? Why does that give you the right to trademark the word cyberpunk in titles?
Because it protects the value of a franchise that could be built upon it.
I'm aware... No, I'm aware of why they want the trademark. Why should they be allowed to do it?
3, 2,
Because they made the case. Like, that's how law works. You make a case.
Yeah, and it was a bad judgment. There you go.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Okay. Tell me why.
Tell me why it was bad. Like,
No, the thing...
you haven't really explained yourself either.
Yeah, I've explained why it's bad. They don't own the rights to Cyberpunk, therefore they own the trademark. They played no part in originating the term Cyberpunk, and the term Cyberpunk is not
No, that's
defined
fine.
by,
They don't have to.
exclusively associated with, or predominantly used to refer to their product. Therefore, they shouldn't have that right. There we go. Simple.
And my case is, they may not have partaken in the creation of it, but they forked out the assets to own it.
So what?
And thus becoming their property, and they can now protect their property.
No. They didn't buy the rights to the word Cyberpunk. They bought a game
No, but then
that
they
happens
trademarked it.
right? Why should they be allowed to do that just because they own the intellectual property to a game called Cyberpunk, which is named after a genre of fiction?
Because, how many times... Okay, you keep on saying me why. I'm telling you why. Because it then protects their ability to
No.
elaborate on that term.
Right, but that doesn't tell me why. I know what they want it for.
Yes, it does!
No, it doesn't.
You keep saying it
No,
doesn't.
no.
It just means you don't understand what I'm saying, and
No,
I'm
I
not
understand.
going to keep on reiterating it.
I understand what you're saying perfectly well. I understand the value of the trademark. What I don't understand is why the fact that it's valuable to them is enough reason to give it to them.
Because they made a case to say that they should.
No, I know they
be able
made a
to do
case.
it.
I know they made a case. You know, what you aren't explaining is why that means they should have been allowed to do it.
No, what you're failing under explain is why your personal morals should apply to legal systems. Like, that's what you're doing.
Well, I mean, that's what everybody does with opinions about the law. About what the law should be. I don't think
And I'm
people
doing the same. This is my personal opinion that their ability to elaborate on their asset that they purchased is enough of a case that they should be able to trademark something.
So if I buy the rights to anything, I should just trademark it. I should be allowed to trademark it just because I own it, even if the word is in common usage in other places.
Yeah, go for it. Try.
Why? Why is that okay? To me, it seems like transparent
you're
bullshit.
You're gonna make me say it like a 15th time. Is that what you want me to do?
Well,
Just keep saying the same thing over and over
why
again?
the trademark
Till
would be
you keep-
valuable. I understand why they want the trademark. I don't understand why they should be given it just because it would be helpful to them.
dominating.
That's the whole point of trademarks. Like, that's the whole point.
Sure.
Like,
No, I
have
get
to
that.
explain to you the purpose of a trademark now?
No, I
Like-
get that. I know what a trademark's for,
No, you
but I'm
don't, because you keep saying to me, why? That's why. It's what a trademark is.
No, I get what a trademark is. My point is, don't you think there should be some balancing factor in whether someone should have a trademark based on whether they have a reasonable claim to... Whoa! Whether they can reasonably demonstrate that A, they have a right to suggest their product is uniquely associated or predominantly associated with the word, and B, that, you know... Okay. What's the right term? Okay, well look, like, Lego, right? Has a trademark on the word Lego, because everybody knows what Lego is, right? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, and they came up with the word Lego, and then there are other products that are out there that can imitate Lego because the patent's expired. But Lego has the trademark, right? Because it's their word and it's their product, and there's a reasonable place of confusion, fine, right?
Sure.
I get that, right? But if Lego tried to trademark the word blocks, would you let them do that? Okay, no,
It would depend
Mega
on the
Blocks.
scope.
Mega Blocks. There's a company called Mega Blocks. They make knockoff Lego, right? I don't know if they're in the US, right? Would you be happy with them trademarking the word mega?
It would all depend on the scope.
Not mega blocks. Let them trademark mega blocks, fine. Would you be happy with them trademarking the word mega blocks and mega in the context of brands for toys?
Well, I'll tell you right now that they wouldn't be able to. They could try to make a case for it. They could try, but they wouldn't because mega has already been utilized in a title of toys, right? That's why everyone keeps failing to, and no one else has fucking called their game Cyberpunk anything.
Oh, I'm willing to bet they have.
3, 2, 1, brawl.
Not in a common usage sort of thing like mega probably is as toys.
Okay, so now it's a different conversation. Now we have to define what constitutes common usage.
Right, that's what they do every time.
I'm sure
when
they
he comes
do.
up.
I'm sure they do, but it's still a shitty judgment.
And it's not a shitty judgment. There. Both our arguments are now valid. There's some things in the chat.
Yeah, feel free to answer them, man.
What's that?
I said feel free to answer them, man.
Okay. Alright, let's see here. Oh, there's a lot in the chat. Sorry, we've been kind of wrapped up. I will... let's see here. Well, King went after just about anyone who used candy in their name. They trademarked the title for an entire genre. No, you must consider the potential abuse first before giving it to them. The genre is older than you, John. It applies to everything. Huh. You didn't invent it, but now you want to own it. It was in works of public domain before they wanted to patent it. Okay, John, try to make a new game today called Candy Adventure, and try not to be sued by King. Well, no, because it goes right into what I was saying before, is the utilization of these terms and titles is trademarked, right? It's now precedent. Your apathy is why our patent system is still messed up. No, it's not. It's... My apathy has nothing to do with it. I give a shit more about people who make the moves to do something rather than people who sit around going, oh, maybe I will. You know, just...
Well, see, for me, it's not about that. It's not about... It wouldn't matter to me whether nobody else wanted to call that game Cyberpunk. It's about the principle of claiming things you don't have any right to claim. That's what it's about to me.
Okay. There's John. They were being predatory, and they were stupid to allow it. Sure. I'll give you that. Maybe they were being predatory. Let's see here. Okay, John. A company trademarked the word Super 2. Please defend that one. Super Mario Brothers, as it wasn't... And it wasn't Nintendo. It was decades after Nintendo made their games. I would have to know the context of that. It's purely predatory. They are patent trolls. Super is also trademarked by King. Once again, it would
Hello to Hyperion. How you doing?
Because the thing about trademarks is trademarks are never trademarked for entire use. There's always a scope. So I'd hand that trademark to Phil K. Dick before I hand that to Project Red. Well, if he wanted to make a trademark, he should have tried. It's a common girl. I'm so lost in here now. Let's see here. XPNCE. I'm so lost in here. Sam's lost too. Yeah, we were just discussing whether or not the decision to trademark the term cyberpunk by Project Red was okay or not. I
was repeatedly knocking you off the platform.
Please don't try to matchmake in our chat. Unfortunately, we don't have a mod in here to stop you, but please don't.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No, Hyperion, you cannot verse us. We're not doing open games right now. Please justify banana.
That's great. I win because I just kept knocking you off the platform because I knew you were doing the comments.
Yeah,
It's very...
that's fine. I kind of figured that was going to be happening. I was just like... Justified banana. I don't know. They're
Tasty.
delicious. Yeah, they have a right to exist because they're delicious. And in case anyone is wondering, like, yes, when we get in these debates, I do get heated. I admit to it, but it's not an actual anger towards anyone. It's just kind of my nature.
All you have to remember is John's a prick.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so no, I'm not actually angry at Owen. I'm not angry at anything. It's just just how I get. Let's see here. What time is it? Oh man, we haven't actually been going very long.
Feels
It's an
interminable.
American thing. They exist because of God. Sure, XP and C. They exist because of God.
Well, you know, the truth is, the first sort of 12 million species were all an attempt to make the banana.
Right. That was God's only like actual goal. It's like, I want to make a peelable fruit that's smushy yet firm and can make a great smoothie. Let's give it a shot. Oh, fuck, I invented man. Damn it!
Smushy yet firm was actually my DJ name.
DJ Smushy but firm?
There's that old guy Ray Comfort, isn't there? The creationist Ray Comfort, who does the display about how the banana proves God's existence because it's perfectly designed for man. Because it fits perfectly in your hand, and then it has a ring pull, and you can tell when it's ripe from the color indicators. And then you have to stop using it when people kept pointing out that wild bananas,
for chimpanzees.
wild bananas basically just look like big mangoes.
Right.
It's decades, centuries of human cultivation that have made them banana-y.
Need you to push X there, Owen.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just enjoying the conversation. I'm gonna eat some Smarties because they're delicious.
Well, and they've also kind of determined recently that like the way people like peel a banana isn't actually like the best way. There's a lot of people now who maintain that peeling it from the bottom and holding it by the stem is actually a much more effective way to eat a banana. I've never tried it that way because I'm not a psychopath, but some people might be into that.
Define effective, though. Like, easiest?
Like, I guess the idea is... Because then you also have, like, a handheld holder. Like, it comes...
Yeah, but how would you like, start to peel with the bottom?
I mean, if you kind of get your hand on that little black nub thing, it kind of peels the same way.
I guess. But the other end has, like, the very convenient, like, nub. You know, the toggle.
But if you open it from the bottom, you have the stem to hold on to, and you don't bruise the banana as you're eating it.
Oh,
with your
I see.
meaty, gross hands.
See, I'm one of those terrible people who I like bananas. I'm really fortunate if you're in a family home with bananas, I get all the bananas, because everyone else in my family likes them when they're kind of like black, you know what I mean? I like them still green.
Ugh.
A little
You're
bit,
a
not
monster.
a lot, just a little bit around the edge. So, I love bananas, so I don't have to worry too much about them bruising, you know? Oh, we're getting old, John. We're talking about the best way to eat bananas. Mashed in with my corn!
I like eating my bananas intravenously. Just jam that banana IV right into the old vein. That's what I say.
There's
I'm too old for things like taste.
There's a great Simpsons where he goes to visit his dad at the retirement home and has such a nice time he just passes himself off as a resident Homer and stays there. There's one where he's just sucking on an IV. Because, who knew Lay's made liquid potato chips?
I'd eat them.
Okay, it says live banana eating ASMR. Do you know what, the ASMR thing really irritates me?
Oh, yeah.
I don't dispute for a moment that there are real people with ASMR, because I know there are. I know someone. And it's real, and it's a thing. But I hate that it's become a meme that has nothing to do with actual ASMR now.
Right. It's one of those things that people like to latch on to because they think they make them special.
Right.
You know?
You're not special.
It's like the same...
You heard it from John here first. None of you are special.
No, you're not. No one is special, alright? Just...
Oh god, I was joking.
That.
I was kidding,
I
Jonathan.
am 100% serious about that. Alright?
Now I know why your world's so miserable. Like, who cares about trademarking generic words that bring people happiness? Stuff like that, and ethics and stuff, because who gives a shit? None of us are special anyway. Just let the companies eat us alive! Who gives a fuck? In John's world, there's nothing left to live for already.
No, because here's the thing, is that when people refer to themselves as, like, special, right? What they're really trying to say is somehow their existence is different than other people's. And it's not. We all have the same world, we all live in the same universe, and we all live in the same existence, essentially. Right? What makes someone unique is how they respond to them. But that's not special, that's a choice. Special is something that you're just kind of fucking born with, right? Like, if
is it a choice, though?
Yes. Well, okay, it depends. Like, how do you view psychology? Are we all products of the chemicals, or do we have means of acknowledging those things but still making a choice?
Yeah, I'm not a huge Sam Harris fan, but his, mainly because he's kind of weirdly racist these days. Like a lot of people. But his talk on his belief that true free will does not really exist, is a really great speech. Well worth watching.
Right. Well, I mean, it comes down to, like, that debate between, you know, predeterminism and free will, right?
Right. Well, Sam Harris makes a really interesting case that even if you don't necessarily believe in predeterminism, you know, quantum physics and the ability to change things like that, he makes a good case that you still don't, you are not the source of your thoughts consciously, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like the demonstration he gives is, you know, ask someone to think of a city, any city in the world, right? And they'll think of one. But they probably didn't think of every single city in the world they knew, and they didn't choose the ones that popped up in their head, you know?
3, 2, 1.
So by what metric did they choose? Do you know what I mean? And when the criteria that came into their head by which to make their choice also didn't bring those thoughts to their head consciously, because it's not how the brain works, you know? It's a fascinating conversation.
Right. I mean, like, yeah, it's one of those things where, and it's like, here's the thing, I love psychology, and I love psychology, and I love philosophy, right? And a lot of times they go hand in hand. At the end of the day, like, psychology is really good when determining, like, mental disorders and, like things like that, right? But it's really bad about, like, determining if something actually matters, right?
Right.
Because, like, okay, you can say that, alright, well, I chose to think of this city, or the chemicals in my brain chose. What does it fucking matter, right? You still thought of a city, and you made the choice of which one you're gonna say, or which one you were gonna think of, right?
Well, it doesn't make a difference in necessarily how you, in your day-to-day life, but it does make a difference in things like, for example, okay, is it right to punish people who commit crimes if you can't really make a case that they ever really had a choice. Now, it might be right to confine people who habitually commit crimes because for the safety of other people. But then should our justice system be retributive? Do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't believe in retributive justice in any way. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you make a case for prisons being really unpleasant places if people who commit crimes never really had a choice? Do you know what I mean?
Right. But see, that's why I don't know. For me, like I have thought about this actually, and because it's the what gets weird is when you talk about choice, right? And really, the only way that the whole, like, okay, I never had a choice in the matter only ever really applies to someone who has never heard of crime, who has never...
Oh, well, okay, let me give you an example that's interesting to me. The vast majority of people who sexually abuse children, right? This gets very serious, but the vast majority of people who do that were themselves sexually abused as children, right? Now, the vast majority of people who were abused as children don't go on to become abusers, but the vast majority of people who do abuse were themselves abused, and there is a level of reenactment, right? So if they didn't have the parents they had, right, then they would not have... probably not have made the decision. Well, I mean, okay, maybe not probably, but you know what I mean? The fact that it is clearly a defining factor obviously suggests that upbringing plays a part in making a decision like that, right? Now, if that's the case,
I guess,
to what extent can you say that it was 100% their choice? Do you know what I mean? And if that's the case, and of course this gets into another issue, because when you talk about that, you also need to balance accountability, because it's also important to have accountability present in people's minds. But my point is, to what...
Alright.
If you had my... Let's ignore genetics for a moment, right?
Hang on there, XMPNC. We will get to that question.
Yeah, because I think it's a good one. If you had my... If we had the same genetics, we were exactly the same people, given up at birth, right? And our lives were swapped, and you had my parents and and I had your parents, right? Now, some element of our personality would still be dictated by genetics, right? But the simple truth is, as an ironclad fact, if that happened, you today would be more like me, and I would be more like you than we are currently, right? If that's the case, in what way are our decisions really our decisions? Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's... I guess, I mean, it's... But, like, I guess what I'm saying is like, all those things absolutely apply if the situation was a vacuum, right?
Sure.
But they're not. There's usually a context. There's a situation. There is emotions. There's a ton of things that always apply when it comes to a decision. You know, like I could be faced with the exact same situation twice and decide completely differently how to act depending on, oh, it's cold out or it's warm out. It's I listened to this song earlier today, and now I have this decision to make, and that's going to play a part.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, on a fundamental level, we don't really know all the factors that go in, because it's a combination of all kinds of different things. Over years and months and days. But that doesn't really help the argument for free will.
I guess. I don't know.
I mean, have you ever shoplifted?
Sure.
Before you shoplifted, like, have you ever done it impulsively? Like, you saw something and you were like, I could take that. And you did?
No, it never quite like that. It was having the item wasn't so much the important thing. It was the kind of, I guess, the rush.
I guess what I'm saying is, have you ever
the proof
shoplifted?
that I could do it. You know.
Have you ever shoplifted and the plan wasn't to go out and steal something? You thought about doing it and you did it.
Yeah, I guess. Actually, no, not really. Now I think about it, 'cause I was thinking about the times I've shoplifted, and it was always kind of a plan, you know? It was premeditated.
Right. Because when I was about 11, I shoplifted something. Nothing serious. I believe it was sweets. And I only did it because... I say I only did it because... I didn't go with the intention of doing it. I just realized that where I was stood at the time, where I was in relation to the door, and it was very, at least to my mind, very, very clear I wouldn't get caught, and the idea just suddenly occurred to me that I could do it, right? You know? And I didn't really think I just did it. If the idea hadn't occurred to me, I wouldn't have done it. Do you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have thought of doing it. But I didn't consciously bring that thought to mind. And so if I'd been the type of person who wouldn't thought of doing it, I wouldn't have done it. I wasn't presented with all the possible outcomes from which I then made a choice, you know? And I'm not saying I'm not accountable for the things I do because, hey, it's not my fault I thought of it. But my point is we don't bring our thoughts into being by consciousness. And so people, for example, who've done... And this is the interesting thing of where free will relates to me is in the area of... it is in the area of massively antisocial crime, right? Like, just to take an example from the other week when we were talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Jeffrey Dahmer...
Oh, yeah, that old nugget.
Jeffrey Dahmer, his choices in life don't seem to have contributed much to him developing the compulsion to kill people. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, this is going to sound... Maybe this is controversial, but, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer didn't choose to have the brain of a killer. You know what I mean?
I guess to me that's where free will comes in, right? It's a decision you make despite the thoughts.
Okay, but
you know?
that's very easy for someone who's never had the thoughts to say.
Sure. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've thought long and hard about, like, setting buildings on fire and shit like that. Like, I've had those thoughts, you know, don't get me wrong. And, you know, someone's annoying me and, like, and I've, you know, had the thought, man, it'd be great just to punch this person in the face. I have those thoughts.
Sure.
You know, it's a decision not to act on them. That's where the free will comes in.
Right, but do you think that... Because I don't. I don't think that when I think, God, that guy annoys me, I'd like to really do something to him. I don't think that thought for me is the same as the thought a serial killer gets when they think about killing people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's something to be said about, you know, mental disorder and things like that.
Right, and it's very controversial to say things like all serial killers are by definition mentally ill, but I think it's true. You know what I mean? You don't get that far without being mentally ill.
Right.
But people don't like saying that because then that gets in the way of accountability. And the question of whether free will exists or not does affect how we judge accountability. You know, if we come to the conclusion that realistically there is none, you can't ever really truly say someone was to blame for the crimes they did. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think that means you get rid of all the prisons. You know what I mean? All it means is you turn prisons from a place where you say you are a bad person and you did a terrible thing that you are guilty for, to a place where you say your brain is conditioned badly and we need to fix it. Do you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I don't think that's so controversial anymore. I
agree completely.
I think that's been kind of the trend for a while. Is the
right. That's certainly where expert opinion is. The problem is the tough on crime political wing that's causing an issue.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, yeah, because here's the thing: is just as much as there is an impulse to commit a crime, there is an impulse to see someone punished, right, for the crime. Oh, fuck.
Sure. And in many ways, I think... Sorry, no, I'll let you finish what you're saying.
And it's a much harder case to make to suggest that the person who wants to see someone be punished for a crime is acting on the same level as someone who commits a crime. You know,
Right.
it's very hard to convince people of that, you know?
Right.
But, okay, let's get off of the topic of...
Well, I just want to say one last thing.
Child molesters and rapists and murderers and
I
stuff
wish
like
to
that.
say only one last thing, and that's the last thing I say on it, which is, I don't know if there is free will. I think I'm leaning towards the idea that in the sense that it doesn't exist. But in many... I think it's... Ultimately, what it comes down to me is the same issue with solipsism, which is, you can only live as if it does exist.
Right.
Ultimately. Even if you acknowledge in one part of your brain that it doesn't, the illusion of it will always be there, you know? So yeah, that's my opinion. And yeah, XPNC says, do you guys normally debate a lot? Because wow, that's pretty much what this show is, XPN. It's a weekly show, we play a game, and we talk about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we generally talk about pop culture stuff, and a lot of times our debates come into that, but sometimes it goes in other places. We've talked about politics, and we've talked about social issues, and religion, and things like that, and we're not afraid to hit, you know, hot-button topics, you know? But it's because me and Owen are very comfortable with each other, you know? There's some people who I would not have these conversations with because I don't know them, and you don't ever know how people react. But yeah, Owen, I'm comfortable with, so I'm not at all worried about talking about this stuff, you know. But yeah, like we said, this is a interactive show. So if you guys have thoughts about the things we're talking about, feel free to share them in the chat. The only thing we ask is that you try to be as inoffensive as you can, you know?
Should we do XPNC's question now, by the way? Because I think it was a pretty good one.
Yeah. He says, what movie do you think would be greatly benefited from being a musical?
Schindler's
like I
List.
said, I wanted to get off the topic of, you know, child molestation and stuff like that. So my choice is Lolita.
Schindler's List. I don't know. Logan.
Logan could be kind of interesting.
Oh no, I know. I know
You're answering
exactly.
it right now, XBNC.
I know exactly which movie, right? But I want it to be a musical, but I basically want it to be the same movie. So I want like same year, same cast, same director,
Sure.
same overall vision, but as a musical. David Lynch Dune.
Oh, come on, you already have Sting. That's not fair.
Roxanne.
I dream of dust, lay. The sandworms come and wipe my tears away.
I hope my legs don't break. Walking on the dune.
I woke up this morning and saw for my 1,000 bottles filled with spice.
I love it. Lewis Connor says, any Star Wars aside from The Last Jedi? Because let's be honest, it was a disappointment.
No, it was fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm with it. I think it was fine. That's not in like she's
like,
so fine.
I go as far to say it was good. You know.
No, that's where I'm with it. I still maintain I've thought about it a lot, and I feel the same way I felt the first time, which is the first hour is a bit inconsistent.
Yeah.
With highs and lows, and the second hour is mostly pretty good, which equates to a mostly pretty good movie for me, I think.
Yeah.
I don't understand either the great love nor the great hatred for it. I think it's okay, you know, which is kind of what I was expecting it to be.
Right. Let's see here. Which one do I think would be good as a musical? Top Gun.
That is a musical, isn't it? Bum,
It
bum,
kind of
bum,
already
bum,
is.
bum.
No, I think it'd be great. Just, you know, the...
Yeah, I got my spear back!
Here, Lou's Corner says, I mean, I like it, but I felt the scene where Leia flew back after being shot into space almost felt too Disney Mary Poppins to me. I hope you guys get what I mean. Yeah, I get what you mean.
I get what you mean.
That's
You saw
kind
the
of
same
issue.
tweet everybody else said, calling it Mary Poppins.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not wrong. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's... I think that's a valid thing to say. My issue is that so many people take...
It always
like,
bugs
that
me when...
scene.
It bugs me when people try and repackage memes as original observations. I'm sorry, it really frustrates me. No. Stop it, people.
There's nothing wrong with what Lou said. It depends. Like, it all depends if it's accurate, you know? Like, because it is. And I think that's, you know, an observation that anyone would make. Just because someone else
Really?
made it first. I mean, they don't get a chance to say it.
See, it didn't have that effect on me. Like, I don't like that scene. I don't mind it conceptually. I don't think it's well executed. It never made me think of Mary Poppins, even when people were referencing it.
I did. I absolutely did when I saw that.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Sure.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help the fact that because of like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Mary Poppins has been kind of in the social, like,
That's true.
consciousness, you know?
It probably also helps that I really just don't care for Mary Poppins and therefore haven't watched the film that much.
I don't really care for Mary Poppins either, but
Sure.
to me it was absolutely because... Look, Julie Andrews is a fucking treasure!
I did, I think it was a little bit weird that Leia kept saying, "Come on, spit spot!" It was a little distressing.
Like,
Wait, did I just watch the
because they're trying to
wrong
shove sugar
movie?
down C-3PO's mouth, you know? That's kind of weird.
Did I just watch the wrong film? The Last Jedi is the one where she sings a song about feeding the birds, right?
I wish it would have just kind of like went further into it, where it's just like Poe Dameron just like, "Hello, Leia."
Mary Poppins! Oh, God, blimey, Princess Leia!
Chim chimney chim chim cheree Empire.
See, early on,
Oh,
there's
thank you,
some stuff.
XPNC. I appreciate that. Now, here's my return question, and this goes to the chat and to you, XPNC. All right, this is a little bit different. What musical album do you think would make a good movie?
Oh, see, I have a perfect answer for this, but they already made it a movie and it was awful.
Lord Vrax.
I really like, but would like to see
Soundtracks don't count.
a very different movie for Tommy by The Who.
Okay.
Because that's a really bad movie. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought that was made like at the same time.
It was made kind of close, but the album was first.
Okay. I don't know what the answer I have is also kind of already been taken because they made a play out of it, a Broadway musical out of it. But I think American Idiot, a Green Day, it would make a good one. But let's see here, what other one? What would make a really good one? I think Bruce Springsteen's "Darkness on the Edge of Town" could be turned into a
Best of the
movie.
Beatles.
Best of the Beatles. Be best album.
Yeah.
Well, I never thought that like Yellow Submarine should have been the one that they made. You know, I think it should have been, like, Let It Be, right?
The White Album. Why don't we do it in the road? Bum 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 bum.
I'm pretty sure they've done that, but it's called like a Beatles, a porn parody, XXX, you know?
Do you know what? I've seen some of those porn parodies, and I can tell you, they ain't smart enough for that. They wouldn't miss it.
The funny thing is they've really kind of just doubled down on them, and you can kind of tell that the quality left. When they were first made, like, it was the Batman one, wasn't it? It was the very first one.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was the Batman one. There was actually some, like, oddly enough, there's like a lot of like love put into it, and not just that kind of love.
There's a Star Trek: The Next Generation one, and the script for it's fantastic. It was a really good episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation between all the sex.
Yeah, because I remember that the Batman one was interesting because, like, little things like the actor they got to play the Joker, you know, and he's supposed to be a riff on the 1960s Batman. So it was, you know, the Cesar Romero Joker. The actor purposely grew out a mustache that they had to paint over.
Oh, that's amazing.
They wanted it to be, yeah, like, that's really kind of awesome.
In the Next Generation one, the actor playing Picard, Picard has no sex scenes.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Order Chaos. Bat Out of Hell 2. That's a good one.
I'd take Bat Out of Hell 1 as a movie. But the actor playing Picard in the porn parody is Captain Picard's stunt double from the show.
That's great.
It's pretty great, but he sounds nothing like him, which is funny.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm curious: was he a porn actor while he was also the stunt double, or was he a stunt double that they turned into a porn on?
No, he is not a porn actor even in it. Picard does not get a sex scene in the film.
Ah, lame.
But strangely in character. I think Riker gets most of it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
One of my most popular tweets this year was about Riker.
Was it?
Yeah, I tweeted about not understanding how growing the beard also gave him more of a personality, but it really did. And then it caught on with a few people. People responded to that, John.
Ah, fair enough. Let's see here. Oh shit! I just.
Can you make sense of this last question?
What popular notion do you think the world has most wrong?
No, most worst. Oh, wrong. I see what you mean. That's a correction. Yeah. So, like, what is a common thing people think that I think is mostly incorrect?
God.
Yeah, there's that one. Do you know, funnily enough, I would say another one is the one we were talking about earlier. The idea that that justice is best performed by ostracizing and punishing people. Like that. That is the best way to redeem people. But also God.
Let's see here. I guess on a more lighthearted note, I think the concept everyone has get wrong is having strong opinions about what people put on food.
I do not want to ever be asked again in my entire life about pineapple on pizza. I get it's a meme. That doesn't mean I want you to ask me as a serious question. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. For a long time, I very much did not like pineapple on pizza. But you know when I discussed it? When I was ordering a pizza for myself. It has actually grown on me over the years. I wish we had
access to these other characters. They seem kind of cool.
3, 2.
Well, they get them occasionally in the AI.
Yeah, they do. Like, I don't know why we can't use them.
Maybe we got to unlock them. Yeah, oh my god, did you see, by the way, every free-to-play game you like gets destroyed. Did you see that Epic is shutting down Paragon?
Yeah. I haven't played Paragon in a long time.
Yeah, you liked it, though.
Yeah, I did.
I've decided you are the death knell for free-to-play games.
Shit. That means I can get rid of some. Come on, think. I have to be able to get rid of some.
Luz Connor says, if you could play one game for the rest of your life, you have the choice. City Skylines, Minecraft, and Battlefront 2. What game would you pick? One of these things is not like the other.
Right?
Lose, the way you do this is you're supposed to pick 3 good games. Oh god, can you imagine living in a world like I like the game more than most, but can you imagine living in a world where the only game you ever got to play for the rest of your life was Battlefront 2?
You'd finally be able to unlock everything.
Would you though? I think I'd just stop playing games.
It's like, yeah, we'll start reading.
Battlefront 2, the novel.
No! Yeah, you have to buy a loot box to get chapter 2.
I think I'd probably go with Minecraft, although I've played a lot of Minecraft, so maybe City Skylines. It's fun. The thing about Minecraft is, I could do all kinds of different things in Minecraft if I wanted to. Like, I could really just learn to build redstone and make circuits and things like that, and, you know?
I guess, yeah, I mean, I like Minecraft enough. It's just, for me, the main issue I just don't play it is I don't particularly like how, like, it moves, you know? Like, there's a lot of stuff about, like, just, like, the UI and things like that that just bug me, which I know on the surface, like, I should just look past them and, like, look at the content, but those are the things that just make the enjoyment not there for me.
I agree, but bearing in mind, you're picking a game that's going to be the only game you play for the rest of your life. And your other choices are a city sim, which, as much as I love City Skyline, it is the best city sim in the world. It is one very, very specific genre, right?
Right.
And Battlefront 2.
I feel like I feel like I could probably do that. Because I would just start experimenting, you know? Like, let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Let's see if I make a city with nothing but curved roads would work. You know, I would do stupid shit like that.
Right, but I feel like Minecraft has that same thing, but with more options, right?
I guess, for me, it doesn't have the feedback that I want. Like,
That's true.
I don't, like, if I build something, I don't have to think, like, okay, will this work? Right?
Yeah, and with City Skylines, you could just keep running your city forever and build, like, the biggest and biggest city, you know?
Right, I'd just make a megalopolis, you know?
But, with Minecraft, if you learn to use it, you could make art with it.
Sure.
Fine, you know what? That's kind of dumb, actually, because you could make art. You're not restricted from painting just because you can only get to play one more game.
Right. Oh shit, there's a tie? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
and I'm not in it.
Fuck you.
Og says, yeah, Humble has been doing buck bundles lately. Yeah, if I could only play one of those 3 games for the rest of my life, I would very, very, very occasionally play that game, and then I'd take up a new hobby.
Right. British Gamer, the complete collection should be a real book.
I could have all
Chapter
my
12.
stories in.
Pardon me.
I'd write a whole chapter explaining why you're wrong about the cyberpunk patent.
Cedar, what is your current goal, like, with about your YouTube channel? Funny, you should ask that. I wish I had the link. Cause, damn it, we don't. But we have goals. Ultimately, the goal is to get to 5,000 subscribers, and at that point, we were going to do a 24-hour charity stream on here, and that's the big goal right now. Along the way, we have things like games with fans. We have games as chosen by the fans, and completely original machinima short, and just expansion of regular shows.
That's Machinima the genre, not Machinima the channel. Which they've trademarked, making it very difficult for us to say what we want to say about this. Sorry, I won't do that.
Like, I will end you. I will find you. Is this me, or have we been on this level a lot?
I guess. XPNCE says, what do you think about marriage? I'm sorry, XPNCE, we only just met.
Take me out to dinner first, then we'll talk.
Yeah, that's how cheap John is.
Yeah, I'm...
Short answer, undecided. What about you, John?
As a concept, I have nothing against it.
Are there people that do? Like, not even just for themselves, but like, no! Down with marriage! Well, I suppose, you know, Christians, if you fall outside certain groups. Well, not just Christians, but, well, mostly Christians.
Right.
Religious people.
What? I'm sorry, I'm reading things. Machinima after this live stream. I know you said Machinima 5 times in this live stream. I will find you, I will look at your stream, then I will monetize it for my gains. Look, I'd just be happy if someone else watched this channel, honestly.
Don't talk to me about that shit anyway. I had a stream I did today by a company who has an explicit streaming policy on their website, claimed by some third-party company that's uploaded and content ID'd Cuphead videos.
Huh.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, okay, so the way Content ID works is you upload some content, and you say, hey, I own this. If anyone else uploads this, it's actually owned by me, and I get that money, right? So, you know, the music publisher for Queen puts in We Will Rock You, and then if anyone else puts We Will Rock You in the video, the Content ID system recognizes that Queen owns that, right? But there's no verification process, because YouTube would have to do work then. So anyone can just go take a video and say, hey, this is also mine, and there's no checks. You don't have to prove that you own it to add anything to Content ID. So companies come along, and what they do is they take things like, this was a section between a level selecting Cuphead, so anyone who streams this level, this section, and matches up with the video, they can take their money until they file a dispute, basically. Now, anyone who files a dispute should get all their money back from the time during the dispute being filed, but that doesn't count for anything that's filed, and it doesn't count for anybody who maybe doesn't notice that they have the copyright notice, and it also won't count for anybody who thinks, who knows the game is called Cuphead but doesn't know what the monetization policy is, doesn't know who owns it, and thinks that it's a genuine copyright claim, you know? It's a... It's basically a... Now, the thing is, to me, it's gonna be pennies, you know? It's not gonna be a large amount of money at all, and they also rely on that, too, because for people who it's not a large amount of money...
You just don't care.
Right, exactly. But what they do is they'll submit so many of these that those pennies to them adds up to a business, basically.
Right.
Now, I can file the dispute and I might win, but it's up to them. This is the other thing, which is you file a dispute and they are legally required to...
Oh, look at you. Well done.
Yay! You can file a dispute, but the person who decides whether it's legitimate or not isn't YouTube, isn't an independent arbitrator. You file a dispute and it goes to the person who's claimed your content. And they say to YouTube either, yes, this person is right and we don't own this, or, no, I still own this. And if you want to go further than that, you need to pursue it legally. So at that point, you need to... Oh, no, you can appeal, and that's how you get it to YouTube. So it's like a 3-step process to actually get anyone other than that person to look at it for you. So yeah, that's what they do.
So here, Lou's Corner says, I have tested the Content ID system by taking one of my own videos. It fucking works. Huh.
Yeah. You don't have to do anything to... It would be very easy to just take... What you do is you find footage of, say, I don't know, a game, something that a lot of people are going to be Let's Playing, and you take a section of it that's going to be the same in everybody's game, like a menu or something that's always going to look the same in people's video, and it can be like 30 seconds, and you just submit that, and there you go, YouTube thinks you own it. And Studio MDHR, who make Cuphead, they have an explicit policy on their site that says anyone can make videos of this and monetize it. They are totally cool with it. So there's a policy out there, and yeah, it's crap. And it's all because YouTube wants to automate everything. They don't want to actually ever have to do any work, you know?
Well, I mean, I can't necessarily blame them for that, 'cause just the sheer amount of content.
The problem is, YouTube put the content ID system in because a lot of copyright holders were not happy with the situation YouTube was in pre-content ID, right? Which was, you know, people uploading music and things like that, right? And I understand that. I understand that a lot of people were using YouTube to violate copyright content, and that there is an issue with that, with enforceability. And basically, the system we were having before that was companies filing a ton of mass DMCAs, right? Now, the Content ID system was supposed to stop the mass DMCAs, which were a problem, but the mass DMCAs were also illegal. You can't mass file DMCAs. You have to file them one by one, and you're legally obliged to consider fair use and things like that before you file them, and the companies weren't. So regardless of the fact that, yes, their copyrights were being violated, and I understand they were upset about that, but they themselves were violating copyright law by inappropriately filing the DMCAs, right? You don't get to bitch about someone else and then also break the law because in an attempt to stop other people violating your right. You don't get... Your rights don't trump other people's in the defense of you. So it was a huge issue, and they set up Content ID, right? And I get that they want automation, but they set up a process that should not have been subject to automation from the start, because to leave it subject to automation has left it consistently open to abuse. And it has been abused hugely since then. It is Content ID has proven to be a big mistake because it has taken something you cannot automate and turned it into an automated process. Because the simple fact is, fair use exemption is a legal exemption, right? If your video qualifies for fair use, I'm not saying mine did because mine was a Let's Play, but mine also didn't qualify. Mine also wasn't an exemption because I have permission to use that video because that's a standing video policy, right? I can use Cuphead footage to make reviews and Let's Plays as much as I like all day, every day, because the company has distributed a license saying you can do that, right?
Right.
So legally I'm in the right. So any company who files a claim on my Cuphead content, which they shouldn't do, that footage should never be submitted, A, because they don't own it. They've obviously had a video and they filed it. They are violating the same copyright law that the automated system is set up to prevent from doing it. So while, yes, it's easy to say, okay, they've got a lot of work to do there because, hey, you know, there's too much stuff to do, it's individually staffed. The problem is, what the automated system is leading to violations of exactly the same legislation, but going in the other direction, all now entirely allowed by the automated process. It just can't do that. But the problem is, YouTube wants the advertising money, and the people with all the money are the big copyright holders. But like fair use exemptions, there's a problem with this. Like, reviews are a fair use exemption, right? And they are a fair use exemption time and time and time again. Every time it's been tested, they're a fair use exemption. If you want to make a review of a video game, you can legally use footage of that video game in your review, so long as its purpose is to provide critical commentary. That is, what that means is, the copyright holder does not have the legal right to prevent you from doing that, right? But because of the way the automated system works, Nintendo copyright claims every review containing footage of their games, right? They're not legally allowed to do that, but they do. And because the only person you can go to for a dispute is the copyright holder, and they never grant it, nobody who reviews Nintendo games that are in their Content ID system gets the revenue for their videos that they're legally entitled to have, right? And yet they have this power because of lobbying on the grounds that they're losing revenue to other people violating copyright, while they themselves are violating a copyright law exemption, you know? It's a total mess.
All right. We should probably start getting on our way out of here. So, that being said, if you have any more questions for us, please drop them in the chat. We'll start taking our last rounds here.
All right.
So here, I'll get to your question real quick, XPNC, but I'm going to read what Lou's Corner has to say, because it's actually kind of interesting. Believe it or not, Japan has no fair use laws, which is sad. Random fact I know, but I learned this by attempting to make a review of an anime and getting claimed and rejected. That sucks, man. So here,
but that doesn't matter.
Says, the guy who made...
That doesn't matter because
the guy who made the...
it doesn't matter because Google is an American company. It's based in America. Your servers are hosted in America. The fair use exemption applies. It might not apply to videos released in Japan, but it applies in the US as a solid doctrine of copyright law. It also applies due to legal precedent in the UK and Europe. So that doesn't matter.
Well, that's good. Well, now you have some ways to get around it, Luz.
It won't matter because they'll just refuse the dispute.
Yeah. So here, the guy who made the RNG for you, Owen, lost hundreds due to abusive content ID, and you know who they work for? Some overseas TV station tried to claim it as just one example, but they made it. So
well, what will have happened there is that overseas TV station will have used the footage in one of their programs as like, look what we've seen on the internet, you know, using a fair use exemption to use it, no doubt. And then they'll have submitted the program it was part of to their content ID library. That happens a lot.
Let's see here.
Wait, which one am I? Where the hell am I?
I don't know. The same character that you always are.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem to be responding. Okay, no, it's working. That's fine.
Let's see here. XBNC says or asks, what will finally break the internet? Me. I'm going to find the hamster that runs the whole thing and set him free.
Like that IT crowd. This gen is the internet.
So yeah, we're gonna probably after this match we're gonna wrap up here. So once again, if you have any questions, or comments, stories, tales, hilarious limericks, I don't care. Now's the time to get them in. It's been an interesting show. Covered a lot of ground. Not gonna lie, most of our shows do not get this wide ranging, so it's been good. But this is what we get when we have people in the chat talking to us. So yeah, keep it up, guys. This has been really fun.
Yeah, by the way, we'll be at the same time next week, so just a reminder. So hit those subscribe buttons. It's a weekly show.
Yep, weekly show. And they're not to put the horse in front of the cart here, but I know I have something in the pipeline that'll be coming out midweek. I'm guessing probably Thursday to try to kind of cut the halfway mark between the week. Which should be fun. It'll be a VOD thing. It won't be a stream. It'll be a pre-recorded something or another. I even made a really crappy intro to it, and I'm excited about that. Sinister Master says he's going to trademark this show. Fine. Whatever. You do you, buddy. Question. What time does the podcast usually start? Good question. Normally it starts at 3:30 Central Time, 9:30 British Standard Time.
Yep.
And we use those weird, almost arbitrary things because that's where we live. I live in the Central Time Zone, and Owen lives in the British Standard Time Zone. So
I always think of myself as GMT.
Is there a difference?
I don't know.
Wait, isn't like GMT doesn't account for
Yeah, I
daylight
think
savings
so.
time, right?
I think so.
So here,
BST
Lou's
isn't
corner,
British
if I had to
Standard
put it-
Time, by the way. Just so you know.
What's that?
Well, I am in the BST time zone, but that doesn't stand for British Standard Time, by the way.
I thought it did. What does it stand
It
for?
stands for British Summertime, funnily enough.
Oh, summertime.
Yeah.
And the living's British. That's oddly like kind of adorable.
Yeah.
It's like,
But that's when we switch from GMT. We don't consider ourselves to be in BST all year round, you see.
oh, now that's just getting.
Yeah. So we're in GMT most of the year, and then when the clocks change, we switch to being in BST. It's fucking stupid.
XBNC says, "What's the channel again?" The channel is called Not Biscuits. That's one word. NOTBISCUITS.
John, it's 2 words.
Yes.
Our channel name is 2 words.
No, I thought it was one.
No, it's 2 words.
All right, it is 2 words, not biscuits. Fuck.
Well done.
Oh man. And
I
now
could
you can see
change
why
it to
we
one
might not
word.
be bigger than we are, because I'm not good at YouTube.
I could change it to 1 word, maybe?
No, that's fine. It's. Oh, let's see here. Orkia says, "Yeah, I set up the time command for BST, not GMT." Right, good call. Let's see here. Lou's Corner says, "I had to put it up there because it'd be so accurate if Star Wars was a musical." Yep, XBNC had the same idea. Star Wars, the musical. Why not?
Spider-Man, turn off the dark.
But I'm going to say this. Star Wars as a musical should only be done with death metal.
Or experimental jazz.
Or Alan Parsons Project Progressive Rock. Or Radiohead. Just Radiohead music. You know, just...
Jerome always said I'll never get to see Spider-Man turn off the dark.
I'm not at all sad about that. Yes, dubstep. There you go, Sinister Mister. That's the right answer. Star Wars musical, only in dubstep. Just... Yeah, it's like...
I like that.
It's like, Luke, use the force, bangarang. Just
Bangarang.
yeah.
Have you seen
It's
that
like the most famous dubstep song.
Have you seen that the actor, speaking of the word bangarang, the actor that played Rufio from the movie Hook has produced a movie about young Rufio and how he got to Neverland?
Of course. Just got to grasp at that one string, you know?
It's called Bangarang. What about all those other
Nice.
films he was famous for?
Maybe he should have tried harder. I don't know. XBNC says, "Okay, thanks. Keep up the good work. Like your content." Well, thank you very much, XBNC. We appreciate the support. And yeah, that being said, we're probably going to get on out of here. Thank you all. Direct to DVD, absolutely. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your questions, your comments. This has been a really lively chat this episode, and it's great. I love that. And but we can only do this half of it. Everything else is kind of up to you guys. We need you guys to like and subscribe and share with your friends and all that fun stuff. Help us get bigger, because as you can see, the more people talking, the more fun we have.
Yes.
I wish you like to get to 1 million in future. Hell yeah, I'd take a million followers, subscribers. I mean,
The most important question is the Superb Owl halftime show over yet?
the Superb Owl halftime show has not even started yet. The
Yay!
Super Bowl had
I made
the
it!
Superb Owl halftime show, or the Superb Owl. Oh God, I hate that. The Super Bowl is actually
That's
starting
why I
right
said
now.
it. I only asked because I know you hate it.
Yes. Sports ball.
That's what I was gonna do next.
I know. I'm in your fucking head, man. Actually, it's starting right now, so go Eagles.
Gweagles?
Oh, yes. Eagles. Eagle.
God, I haven't thought about that in a while.
So yes, thank you all for watching. I've been Jonathan Cadotte. With me has always been Owen Adams. Owen, where can they find you?
Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Owen Adams. It's good.
Awesome. And you can find me right here on this channel. This is where I post all my video stuff on the Not Biscuits channel. Or you can follow me on Twitter, which is at John C. Person. That's Jon, the letter C, Person. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a good one.
Bye!